Welcome to the Research Works podcast, live from the European Academy of Childhood Disability Conference 2024 in Bruges, Belgium. Join us for interviews with keynote speakers, world-renowned researchers and clinicians, and behind-the-scenes stories from one of the great paediatric conferences in the world.
Dr. Paula Chagas, welcome, and thank you for joining me on the podcast today.
Hi, Dana. It's so a pleasure to meet you.
It's actually really lovely to properly meet you. We've only ever seen each other online,
Yes.
which I feel like is the way I keep saying it to everyone. But to actually see you in person is fantastic. I have so many questions for you and so many follow-ups from the previous conversation that we've had. For all of our listeners, just a bit of a reminder, Dr. Paula Chagas is from the Federal University of Juiz de Fora
Yes.
in Brazil.
Yes.
And you've got a poster here and you just presented an instructional course that was titled Implementing Powered Mobility for Young Children with Severe Disabilities, Experiences from Different Contexts.
Yes.
A lovely group of people that you presented with as well, all well-known names. How about you give us a bit of a summary? I know it's really hard to do that from an instructional course, but about 60 seconds. Give us a bit of a summary of what you guys spoke about this morning.
Well, it was a pleasure. This instructional course was originally organized by Egmar Longo, my friend from Brazil too.
We love her.
But she couldn't come, but I was going to talk anyway. So we started talking about the evidence on power mobility so far, how it's important as mobility is a human right and we have to move and everybody has to be able to have this opportunity since we're youngsters.
Yes.
And then Dr. Lisbeth, that was Jeannie's talk.
Yes.
And then Dr. Lisbeth Nilsson, the author of the ALP, presented the measure for us and how we can really see changes in children using the ALP.
Yes.
And then Maribel and Bia from Spain presented the project that's EMI Suave Rodas that they're doing with spinal amyotrophies, muscular
atrophy. Yes,
atrophy.
I know
I don't know the name in English.
In English.
Well. Yes, and then she presented them and the good results they're having with these children, adapting motorized mobility really early.
Yes,
and I bought a reality from Brazil that we don't have money to do adaptations on a motorized car already, so we're trying to adapt push-on cars.
Yes,
to motorized cars, and then from there on we're trying. We have 3 years and
I love that.
Showing how good the children are getting there.
That's brilliant. I'm going to pick up on that point now that was the last point you described there, is that trying to find really economical ways, low-cost ways for getting this to be accessible. I often do hear from people that, sometimes in lower resource settings, it's not feasible to be looking at these options for children who need powered mobility. But I love that you guys have come up with a solution. I guess we can see a lot of barriers sometimes, but sometimes you can see solutions.
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit about what this adapted car looks like and what does it involve?
Okay. So our project began with this like the Go Baby Zika Go.
Yes.
The Go Baby Go car.
Yes.
Is a car that costs in the United States $250.
Yeah.
In Brazil, it costs 4 times that.
Okay.
So, no, 4 times, twice the price.
Okay.
So it's really expensive for us. And then we have to do all the adaptations on it.
Sure.
Many people live, their month basic income is less than that resource.
Wow. Yeah.
Our low-income country, families. So it's not feasible.
Yeah.
So we thought, okay, let's try do something different. I got a great partner called Flávia Bastos from the engineer university, from the engineer faculty. And we started to think, how can we do this with less money?
Yeah.
So there's a parent in our team too that did the first adaptation. He got there. He's not an engineer, but he has a child with a rare condition. He said, I can do that. And then got used pieces of wind shelf motors and PVC for the back and those foams from tool noodle from pool noodles, and then he started adapting. It worked. Okay, so let's bring this to university and begin.
Yeah,
and then we taught our engineer students. My friend taught an engineer student, and I taught my physical therapy student how can we do low cost adaptations with seating.
Yes.
And then that's how we began. So we can adapt a car for around $80.
Wow. That is incredible.
Yes.
And I love that. It's beautiful with the theme of this conference being the symphony, societal symphony, and it's about collaboration and impact generation. They're all great words, but when you break it down, that's exactly what you guys did, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was true collaboration, something you wouldn't have come up with unless you had actually come together.
Yes. No, it's impossible to work alone.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things I have learned already in my 25 years as a professor, that it's impossible for you to work alone.
Absolutely.
You need great partners.
Yes.
You need partners that think like you think, that are going the same way as you are.
Yeah, that's right.
And that can contribute with their ideas, and that they want the same thing of you, and nobody wants to fight for the position like I have to be better than you. No, we are together for the good of the children.
Yeah, the greater good. And I love that as a direction. So with that in mind, I mean, the reason why you want to go down the path of finding an adaptable car that was economical was really to meet a need that we know is really important, right? Let's spend a bit of time talking about the evidence for powered mobility.
Yes.
Why is it so important? Why do we need to be doing this?
Yes. Well, in Brazil, children have only access from the public health system to a chair, motorized, when they're 12.
Wow.
So it's really late.
Yeah.
And even when they're 12, they have to have like so many abilities that we know they don't have.
Okay.
Like really a physical condition that enables them totally to walk. Some of them can walk short distances. They have to have visual, auditory, and cognitive function perfectly, that we know our children sometimes don't have.
Yeah.
And they have to have the ability to drive safely.
Wow.
And then I joked with the guys, remember when we first learned to drive?
Yeah. Gosh.
Where we're safe?
Yeah.
Did we know how to go in one direction without crashing?
Not really.
Without going on sidewalks?
That's right.
No. So how can you expect a 12-year-old to do like a test and pass the test on the first trial?
So unrealistic. You can't do that.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
So we have to introduce this early.
Sure.
And we have to make possible opportunities for earlier power mobility. We don't have this opportunity yet. We're trying. We really want to change this law.
Yes.
Can we change it to 6 years old? They can have an adapted motorized mobility, and we do this early introduction before with different cars, with different technologies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they have to have earlier opportunity. It's not about independence only. It's about autonomy.
Yes, that's
it's about
right.
fun. It's about friends, about participation.
Yeah, that's right. I think so much, I've spoken to people about this before, where for some reason we expect our children who have a complex neurological condition with vision and hearing and sensory and then tone, you have all these things that make things quite complicated, yet we expect almost perfection out of them when it comes to either walking perfectly or driving a power wheelchair perfectly. It is unrealistic to think about that. But yet we go for perfection. The experience of movement is something that we can take for granted, isn't it? That's the part that you're trying to promote.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Lisbeth talked about it's about crashing. It's about going over a cat. It's about
poor cat.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's about errors.
Yeah.
Errors is learning. We have to try and error.
Yeah,
that's a process of learning.
It is.
So we only have this opportunity when we're young. That's when we acknowledge that.
Yeah.
No problem when you're young, you take it wrong.
Yeah.
When you get older, it's even harder for people to accept that you can error.
That's true. That's true. So we do need to start really early, and it's problem solving.
Yes.
It's the autonomy. It's all. It's the principles of neuroplasticity, are they not?
Of course, of course. And we have several disabled children. We have GMFCS level 4 that don't see well, that have really low vision. We have level 5s that we don't use their hands at all.
Right.
And we have to create solutions. And our team that believe in everything, sometimes we say, how are we going to be able to do this? Are they going to be able to achieve it? Because the family expects so much.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the child shows it, that they can.
How brilliant is that?
So
how brilliant.
We just have to believe.
Yeah, I love that.
Just have to believe.
Okay, so then what kind of outcomes are being reported when it comes to power mobility?
Yeah. We use a lot of the GAS, the goal attainment scale. The goals are planned with the families, what they want, what each step, it's monthly outcome is going to achieve for them, with families. At the first evaluation, we evaluate them with the GMFM and the GMFR that I talked about in the last one. So now it's validated and reliable. So we are using already the measure to see the outcomes.
Yes.
We also do the PNCY or the YCPN, depending on the age, to see. That's a little bit more harder to show outcomes.
Sure.
Responsiveness yet, but we're trying to see
it's very long term though.
Yeah, it's a long term.
Yeah,
so we're trying like long term and see.
Yeah.
But it's not my project that I have in the university. It's not a structured research project. We have some research coming out of it, but it's more like real life observation.
Sure.
Because the car is used by the families.
Yes.
And then we're observing the outcomes as they come.
Yeah, that's right. I love that. So then people who want to access it, they can. And whilst they're doing so, you're observing, you're modifying, at the same time documenting to inform.
Yes.
I love that. So we're gonna jump onto the GMFMFR. Did I say that right? GMF. I always say it wrong. GMFR.
We cut off one F because we're getting stuck with it. So
just
now,
like I did.
So now it's Gross Motor Family Report.
Gross Motor Family Report.
Yes.
I love that. Thank you for helping me. Where's that up to? So we spoke to you about that last time on the podcast. I remember that so specifically because I think it was like a Friday night, like 9 o'clock I went into the studio to speak with you. So I always remember it. Is that available now?
Yeah. So we just finished the validity and reliability study last year.
Amazing.
So it's like almost in press, like it's under evaluation, under review, but I think it's going to pass.
Amazing.
Yes, to be published, that data.
Okay.
And now we're finishing the manual.
Beautiful.
For the measure. It's going to be available at Child store.
Beautiful.
So people are going to have access to the measure and the manual explaining all the details probably in the second semester this year.
Okay, so we'll keep a lookout for that.
Yes, and now we are working also with some translations. We already have the German.
Beautiful.
A German translation coming out, and possibly in the second semester, Spanish, Italian, and French.
Oh, wonderful. I love that. It's so wonderful. Okay, so we've got these measures that you can look at for this outcome. You looked at a lot of solutions. Are they, I guess on the flip side, if people are ever worried about introducing powered mobility early, do you think there's such thing as any downside to introducing powered mobility early?
No.
Anything? Okay. That was
no. Even if it's just like for the child to have an experience like sitting in a different position and like taking her hand to a different switch, taking her head to a different button.
Yep.
And like she's there, even she's just like, does a little movement, or the family takes her hand to the switch and then the family uses their hand to do it at first.
Yeah.
They're experiencing a different kind of mobility that they are trying to self-produce.
They're influencing their environment,
and they see they are going through the environment.
Yes.
So their vision changes and they are producing the movement.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
What's the earliest you would introduce it?
Well, the study says about 9 months.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we're not getting them so young in Brazil yet. So we're beginning around 2 years. That's when they are beginning to. Because I think at 9 months, they're still not even accepting the diagnosis.
That's a process in itself, isn't it?
Yeah. Around 2 years old, I think our families are more prepared in Brazil.
But if there's a family that's ready and they want to try it at 9 months, we should. There's no downside for it. Okay.
We should. It doesn't, you won't compromise the ability to walk, if that child is going to walk or whatever other milestones she's going to achieve.
Yeah, because that's often the concern, isn't it?
Yes.
But it's like we've been talking a lot. Oh, gosh, I probably talked to Ginny about this a lot and Diane Damiano about this a lot. It's not this or that. It's this and that.
And that.
It's okay because we can walk, we can run, we can ride a bike. It's okay. That's no problem.
Imagine if you came walking here.
Yeah.
I came walking from Brazil. I'll never be here.
That's right. Why do we think there's only one way to move?
Yes.
So final thing then, recommendations. What would you recommend for clinicians? So, I mean, you guys have come up with incredible ways to adapt these cars. How can clinicians do that themselves if they're working in a low resource setting, maybe working on their own because they don't really have a team around them?
Yeah.
What would you say?
I think like talk to a parent. There's usually someone in the parent, in the family with an electronic ability.
Okay. Some soldering ability.
Yeah. They all have someone that like fixes everything in the house.
Yeah.
And like we can show the model of baby go. I think that's the beginning.
That's
they have
quite
the
accessible,
manual.
isn't it? Yeah.
It's accessible. They have the manual already how to do it.
Sure.
So, well, we have this already available. Do you think you can do something like that?
Yeah.
Is it possible? Is it feasible?
Yeah.
If not, let's try to create this from like low resources then.
Yes, fantastic.
I think that's the way.
Yeah.
But
so
if
really
you have an
looking at that
opportunity, have an
family.
engineer by your side. It's the best way to
so
work
lovely
together.
too. I know that they're hard to come by sometimes, but yes, I think I agree. You're looking at internal resources, family. I mean, just this morning in the keynote where they're talking about identity and being able to identify with different groups and different support groups, it can look really different for everyone, doesn't it? But it's about getting into that, asking the questions, who's around them, who's their support.
Listen to the families.
Yeah.
They know the answer.
They really do. We might just facilitate the conversation and they'll go, oh yeah, I know someone. Okay, final take home then, Paula. There's so much to talk about and what you've already said is so brilliant. Where to from here? Where would you like to see things go from here?
Well, I really want to be, like, our project really aims to create like an opportunity for an early wheelchair mobility in Brazil too. That's where we wish we can go.
Yeah.
Like adapt a non-motorized wheelchair to a motorized wheelchair using low resources.
Amazing.
Like Instituto Nossa Casa, that's an institute there, has already done a prototype that uses a board on the bottom and then puts the wheelchair on top. So that's a way maybe, but it's a little bit big to transport.
Okay.
Because you have the wheelchair plus the board.
The platform. Yeah.
The platform, but that's an option. So we're trying to see what can be feasible. Like that's our future plan, like to be able to adapt something from 6 years to 12 years.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. And like see other opportunities. I just talked to Soraya Pacheco from Spain, and she's doing an incredible work there, really also with really low resources too. She's adapting like a sitting car on a platform.
Wow.
And with a switch and doing motorized mobility too.
It's really thinking outside the box, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Paula, always a pleasure. I've absolutely loved speaking with you today. It's finally to meet you in person. It's just a thrill for me as well. So thank you and good luck for the rest of the conference.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I think we're going to enjoy a lot.
I think it's going to be really, really great. Thank you to all of our listeners. I hope you really enjoyed that. We'll talk to you all again really soon. Bye.
Bye.